Earlier this week, the Biden administration formally announced its support for making Washington, D.C. a state. In a statement, the White House said in part, quote, establishing the state of Washington, Douglass Commonwealth as the 51st state will make our union stronger and more just. But not everyone believes it is a good idea. Joining us now is Zack Smith, legal fellow at the Meese Center for Legal and Judicial Studies at the Heritage Foundation. Zack, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. First off, as you know, the House of Representatives is expected to vote tomorrow on DC statehood. What do you expect to happen there, and why do you think this push is coming now and so quickly?
Well, I certainly think this push is coming now so quickly because it certainly seems to be for partisan advantage. There are two potentially Democratic senators up for grabs if D.C. becomes a state. And I think, unfortunately, you'll see this bill pass along an almost party line vote in the House of Representatives tomorrow. And again, that's unfortunate given the grave constitutional concerns with the District of Columbia becoming a state in this manner.
I also want to talk to you about the Biden administration, backing this D.C. statehood, and also interesting the change in name from District of Columbia to Douglass Commonwealth. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, I'm disappointed that President Biden is supporting this push for D.C. statehood by simple legislation. Historically, this has been a bipartisan consensus. Both Republican and Democratic Justice Departments that have looked at the issue have agreed that in order for the District of Columbia to become our nation's 51st state, a constitutional amendment would be needed. And so to see the president, members of the House, many members of the Senate on the Democratic side, supporting the District of Columbia becoming a state by simple legislation, it's very disappointing. And as you mentioned, the name of the new state would be State of Washington, Douglass Commonwealth, so that the bulk of the current district could become our nation's 51st state, with the District of Columbia, the seat of our federal government, essentially being shrunk to a very small area encompassing the Capitol building, the White House, the National Mall, and just a few other buildings, which is something that frankly was not envisioned by our founding fathers.
Zack, what's the danger in making D.C. a state, and also how would that impact the country overall?
Well, I think our founding fathers certainly never envisioned the District of Columbia becoming a state. They wanted an independent federal district free from the influence or control of any one state, so that the federal government could maintain the safety and security of the federal district and also be free of undue influence from state authorities in running the day-to-day business of the federal government. And the danger to our country is really that this transforming the District of Columbia into our nation's 51st state would really upset the fundamental balance of our federal system of government. Not only would it add 2 new senators to the United States Senate, but again, it would undermine the very purpose for which the founding fathers established the District of Columbia, in that it would essentially allow this new state, the Douglass Commonwealth, to exercise an outsized influence over our federal government.
Zack, we only have about 30 seconds left, but quickly, how do you think this is all going to play out?
Well, it's certainly going to pass the House of Representatives. The big holdup, like last time, will happen in the Senate. So far, there are 4 Democratic caucusing senators that have not signed on to co-sponsor this bill. I hope it remains that way and that they recognize the dangers of the District of Columbia becoming our nation's 51st state by simple legislation. It was something the founding fathers never intended, and a constitutional amendment is needed in order to radically transform the size and status of the district.
And we will see what happens. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. Zack Smith, legal fellow at the Meese Center for Legal and Judicial Studies at the Heritage Foundation. Thank you again.
Of course. Thank you for having me on.